So I want to jump to July 22nd, 2012. I think you consider this day your second birthday. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah, it is. Like it's easier now, but like every year, we just kind of there's 1,000 ways I could have died that day. So like literally, we celebrate that every year with usually a whiskey and a good meal, and just kind of treat it like another birthday because it could have been over that day. So
Leading up to that day, so you're doing an AOS movement from Misawa to Eielson Air
yep,
Force Base,
yeah,
but up leading up to that day, you know, looking through a little bit of your synopsis you sent over, in my opinion, there were some key things that happened prior to that with training, etc. So maybe we start there with what was the lead up to that AOS movement, and then if you'd like to dive into just that day and what transpired.
yeah. You bet. I think the big one that things you don't think about until they're the most important things in your life. Water survival. It was literally like 10 days prior to our departure. Like we're training officers going through all the little bubbles to make sure everybody's good, right? And they're like, "Hey, Fester, you're going to expire on water survival while we're in Alaska, so we got to do it before you leave." And I was like, "God, I'm DO at the time, pretty busy." I'm like, "Great, there's half a day that I just lost getting ready to do that." So anyway, we go out to Lake Ogawara there, that's right off the west end of the runway at Misawa, and our light or seer dudes do water survival in house there. So we went out there and I jump in the lake and do all the standard, get in the raft and float around and drag behind stuff. And when I get out of the lake, I am literally, it's like I rode my motorcycle through rain for 8 hours because like I am just completely saturated. I was like, so much for the dry suit. The poopy suit didn't work, right? So I take my poopy suit off and like hold it upside down, and water pours out of it. I mean, I probably had a half a gallon or more of water in my poopy suit. So there was a couple seams or whatever that had failed, and A fixed it up, and thank God they did, because 10 days later I was in 55-degree water for 6.5 hours. So like little things like that is important. And then talk about it later, but I don't know, at that point it had been 15 years flying the Viper, and or 12, 13 years, I guess, CP. But every time you do egress hanging harness, be like, cool, jump out and canopy, visor, mask, seat kit, all that stuff. And every time I, in training, hit my LPUs, it was like, check. Like, my LPUs are there. It should have been inflate, right? Because vividly in the parachute, I remember hitting my LPUs and saying check and not inflating my LPUs. So I was a plus size sinker when I hit the water until the E-words or D-words or whatever they call them, automatically inflate and then back up to the top of the water. But like that's training. Like that's totally a habit pattern. I had a bad habit pattern that I got to ops test, and thankfully it worked out. But that was the preamble. And then standard, it was like sea fog, trying to get out of Misawa. We were supposed to leave on Friday, canceled Friday after being in the jets all day, canceled Saturday after sea fog didn't lift, and then we finally launch on Sunday to get out of there. And Wiley O'Reilly's the SOF. I'll come back to that one later. But he's in the tower, and he's staying there and going out. Or I don't know if he was going to go on the deployment or go out later, but he was the SOF, so somebody had to do it. And we take off, and it's 2.5 hours into a 7-hour, 8-hour sortie, what it was going to be, uneventful. Like, had 3 or 4 air refuelings, and I had just got off the boom. I think it was the 4th air refueling. Had moved out to the right wing, and funny, because the way it happened, but like I'm at that point 2.5 hours in, been drinking coffee. It's time to break the seal. So I go out to the wing, put it on autopilot, altitude hold, unzip the jaws of death on the poopy suit, and proceed to start messing with taking a piss in the aircraft, right? Which is always eventful. And I'm literally in the middle of business in hand when I feel the RPM roll back, and I was just like, "What the hell is that?" No red lights in the cockpit, but the RPM rolled back to like 70% above idle in the GE, but massive loss of thrust, like dudes talk about, like, hey, you'll feel loss of thrust. I was like, man, I was in not even mil power, and when it went to that, like, I got thrown forward in the straps because we were 3 bags, pretty draggy, all that. And I had trap fuel. I'd been out on the wing for a little bit. My center line wasn't feeding, so I ran the trap fuel checklist. So that was part of it, where some of those switches live in the cockpit and all that stuff. Gave the safety board some things to think about on what I did or didn't do, and I'll leave it there for safety board stuff. But I'm running that checklist, taking a piss in my piddle pack, and I get the rollback, and I was like, oh my God, what's going on? No lights. Tell everybody, hey, I got a RPM rollback. Massive loss of thrust, and of course start falling out of the sky. And at that point, Cheech McDaniel, Klepto Katie, who ends up staying with me until I jump out, and Smack Ballsizer were in our 4 ship at that point. Smack had rolled back into our cell from the previous cell. And he had the diverts. And I'm like, Smack, nearest divert, go. Like, number 4, go with nearest divert. So that was number 3. Cheech was our squadron commander, so he took my cell when he rolled back into it. I was leading cell 2 until then. Smack's like, some name I can't pronounce in Russia. Like 350 for 432 miles, something like that. And I'm like, well, I ain't making that. But we pointed that way, and off we went. Klepto came with me, and I start doing air starts, or at that point the engine's running, so I'm like, what's going on, trying to figure it out. It's abnormal engine response is the only checklist I can think of at that point. And about the time we do that, later on they figure out it was about 3.5 minutes that the engine was running before it failed. So at that point I'm pointing north in the descent now, above the weather but about to get into the weather, which made life more fun. Klepto Katie's with me. The motor fails, and then I start doing air starts, 3 in accordance with the checklist. And I vividly remember on the radio going, okay, I've tried 3 air starts. I have no idea what's going on with this airplane. Good idea, ferry time. And I said that over the radio. I was like, if anybody's got an idea, throw it at me, because if not, this is happening. And dead silence on the radio. Like, nobody was pitching into that fight. So that part is where training kicked in again. So I literally told the tanker, we were on tanker pry still, I'm like, this is Jest 93 was my call sign. Call JPRC, you're like, prepare for a maritime rescue. Like, this is happening. And that got the wheels turning, right? Thank God. And the wheels are big, and sometimes they're slow, but they work. But they sent out that call. They get on their sat phone. JPRC at Hickam is who we were working with. Initially got the call, and that sends out all kinds of different avenues of government control. Like, it goes out. I actually have a message from the cargo ship that I ended up on later that was like, the distressed airmen in the vicinity of this, be on the lookout. I'm like, dude, in a one-man RAF, a 700-foot-long ship is not going to see you. But that's what the start of it. So had no idea what was going on with the motor, but it was happening. So now I'm like 20,000 feet. Klepto's with me, descending. We get into some weather at about 13,000 feet, and that was the first time I was, for lack of a better term, freaked out. Because I was like, dude, I'm going to get out at 2,000 feet. I'm going to keep trying to restart this motor, get out at 2,000 feet. And I was like, oh my God, where are we at? Somebody look at the VR maps and make sure we're not over some island chain with a big volcano or something, because I'm in the weather at like 13,000 feet, and I'm worried that I'm going to smack a mountain, the standard picture of the mountain goat the pilot sees and be like, what's he doing up here? So I was worried about that. And they're like, nope, we're over the water in like 17,000 foot deep water, because they salvaged that airplane later on. So we figured that out. And I break out of the weather at about 2,500 feet, something like that. And I told Klepto, I was like, hey, stay in radar trail. So he's got me locked up. I'm doing exactly 225 knots, like the best airspeed control I've ever had in my entire life. Because for the fuel weight I was at, I was like nailing it. It was perfect airspeed control, which I was not good at usually, but I was that day.